Every finished space, whether it's a redecoration project or a renovation project, is a combination of design details. It's about the big ideas that harness the end result and the tiny design details. They all get layered together to create the end result. So I'm going to take you on a guided tour here in the living room, dining room area at Haus Heidi, which is the subject of my new TV show, Sarah's Mountain Escape, on HGTV Canada. The big idea was about getting an open concept floor plan. And this is something you can only achieve if you're renovating, but I'm going to tell you that it is always worth the investment to make sure that you've got the kind of space you want. What's cool about this house is the living space is on the second floor. It is not on the main floor. And what that means when you're in a mountain town is it's got great views. So how did we get this open concept space? Well, it took a lot of structural work. We added a lot of steel beams, and we were able to open this space right up. Okay, let's talk about how you program a space. Because for me, it was about the fact that we started with a kitchen that was cramped and stuck in the turret. So the kitchen got bumped to the back of the house, and what was formerly the kitchen became what I call the turret lounge. And what I like about it is I wanted it to feel open, and I wanted it to just be a dedicated lounge space. If you know my work, you know I am a massive banquette fan. Yes, I will try to install at least one banquette in every single home. This home has 3. And what are the advantages of a banquette? Sure, you could take a space like this and you could outfit it with freestanding furniture. However, when you commit to designing and installing a banquette, you get maximum enjoyment of the space. And what I always envisioned was that this little turret lounge would be the ultimate après-ski destination. It is comfy, it is loungy, and this banquette was super easy to install. The frame is just made of 2x4s, and this is what I want you to think about is it's not a complicated install process. This is something, if you have a carpenter, you can achieve this. How did we do it? We've got a 2x4 base and then a 2x4 frame that holds the cushion. Throughout the house, I used Fusion Flooring's Beaux-Art Realism flooring. This is engineered white oak. It has a fabulous color palette, really wide boards, and I've used it throughout the second floor of the house. And then what I wanted was I didn't want to have the contrast of painted trim, so I thought, hey, why not take this flooring and wrap it right up the face of the banquette? So the base of the banquette and the frame that holds the cushion in place is all done with our flooring material. What's fabulous about this is it creates a seamless look, and it means you have the exact same finish going from the floor right up onto the face of the banquette. There's no need to bring in other material and then urethane it and protect it. You have a durable, protected surface in a finish that you already know you love. So thumbs up for that. The next step was custom-made seating cushions and then a whole combination of back cushions. One of the key advantages to installing a banquette, especially if you have a small space situation, is that when you use a freestanding sofa, you need to think about the fact that you have the depth of the back. That's the frame of the actual sofa. And then you have the cushions. So you're going to lose a little bit of space there. When you design a banquette, the wall surface becomes the back, and then all you have is toss pillows. So it's an easy solution, it's an affordable solution, and I think it's a signature Sarah solution for style, and I love it. In the turret, I decided to install sconces because if you're going to install a banquette, you don't have the flexibility of having lamps on side tables. So you need to think ahead. These are the design decisions that you need to be making early on in the process to make sure that you're prepared when you get to the end. These are onyx sconces that I found through, where did I get these? CB2, I think, and they glow. They're like little moon balls, and I think they just cast that warm glow of lighting because that's how I wanted this room to feel in the evening hours. Hanging from the ceiling is one of my all-time favorite light fixtures. You've seen me use it before, you'll see me use it again. This is a design classic designed by George Nelson. This is a mid-century fixture, and it is the George Nelson bubble pendant. What's fun about this is it comes in a whole bunch of different shapes and sizes. You can get smaller, you can get the saucer, you can get it with a crisscross frame, you can get an elongated one. I could go on and on and on. But what's interesting is if you're looking at installing multiple fixtures, you could mix and match within one open concept space a variety of different George Nelson fixtures. I am a fan. The other thing I'm a fan of always is custom solutions. And so I have a good friend who owns a contemporary lighting studio in Toronto called Ridgely Studio Works. And I had my friend Zach make me this fabulous custom pendant. It's called the Luster Pearl. And this is a hammered disc of satin brass with a powder-coated top finish and then one single ball light in the middle. Do you like it? I love this light fixture. What I like about open concept living spaces is I like to create zones and destinations. So by putting 4 swivel chairs in this space, it's a great conversational grouping. And what's fun about using a swivel chair is you can swivel the chairs towards the mountain views, you can swivel them to warm your tootsies by the fire, or you can swivel them to have a conversation with whoever's sitting on the sofa. There is a fabulous selection of swivel chairs out there these days, and I encourage you to dive in and find the solution that's right for you. They offer flexibility. These chairs are deep, sink back, loungy comfort, and they come from West Elm, and they're so comfortable. This room is dressed in a naturally neutral color palette, and that is by design because I wanted everything in this house to feel connected to our surroundings here in Whistler, BC. When it comes to neutrals, my passion for neutrals is often a warm, cool, neutral palette. And what do I mean by that? Well, you've got your cool neutrals, which is everything in the gray range, and then you have your warm neutrals, which is more the sort of flax and linen and beigey tones. And so when people say, oh, what kind of neutral do you like? I like them both. But most importantly, I like to mix them both together because that creates a more dynamic look. And I'm always looking for natural inspiration. And I think if you're wondering where does that inspiration come from, how do I find that inspiration for my own color palette, start with a natural material. So look at the marble that is on this pair of vintage side tables I bought. These were by far in a project that was so over budget, that cost twice as much as we wanted it to, that took twice as long as we wanted it to. I love a good online vintage find, and I found this pair of tables on Kijiji for $65 each. We are gonna refinish them, and we're gonna put a marble top on them that overhangs just a little, and they're gonna be transformed. $130 for a pair of amazing vintage side tables that I decided to use as a pair to make a giant coffee table, or 2 good-sized coffee tables that makes it feel like one giant coffee table. Do you get where I'm going? Then I had them restained in a beautiful gray. It's the exact same stain that I use to stain our handrails that lead all the way from the mudroom in the entry all the way up to the 3rd floor. It's those little design details you need to think about making sure that you have that connectivity that runs all the way through the house. I bought the handrails and I had my refinisher stain them at the same time that he was fixing these side tables for me. See? Smart, planning ahead. On top of these tables, now back to what was my point? My point was about natural materials and natural color palette. Look at the marble on these tables, and this perfectly expresses my deep love of the warm, cool, neutral palette, because look at it. You've got the grays, you've got the beiges, some of the colors are warmer, some of them are cooler. If you're looking for where to start, always seek inspiration with a natural element first, and that is going to give you every single cue you need for the color palette for your entire room. Another way of thinking about those materials is, look at this carpet that's on the floor. This is made from natural undyed yak wool. And what I love about natural undyed wool carpets is that they have this incredible color variation. You get the super light creams, and then you get these almost charcoal graphite grays, and all the brown tones in between. What it means is when you have something that has this kind of dynamic color palette, you get flexibility because the varied elements in the color help disguise any dirt or stains, trust me. Also, when you're dealing with natural undyed wool like this is yak wool. And what's amazing about it is it still retains some of the natural oils that were in the wool of the animal, and it means that it will help repel stains naturally. If you're looking for a rug that is an exact size, here's an advantage of thinking about using cut broadloom. You can have it cut to any size you need, right down to the 1/2 inch. And so in this space, I needed a palace-sized rug, and I didn't want to pay palace-sized pricing. So you can find fabulous broadloom in terrific quality and have it cut and bound to be the exact size you need. That is tailor-made design, and I always like tailor-made design. One of the game changer solutions in this room, yeah, it's the fireplace. Oh, wow. This house started out with a fireplace that Alex said looked like it ate small children. And I was really happy to see it go. And in its place, we decided to install a direct vent gas fireplace. This is a rental house. And so while we love wood burning fireplaces at home, they take a lot of work and maintenance. And some people, including me, love the efficiency and the convenience of being able to turn a fire on with the press of a button. So check out this fireplace. One of the key features I think is fantastic is this is a 3-sided fireplace from Faber Fireplaces. And I always wanted something that could be seen as this anchor in the room. It's what welcomes you when you're coming up the stairs. It's the first thing you see. I imagine guests arriving and being welcomed by the glow of this fireplace and the heat that it radiates. But also, you can see this fireplace from the kitchen, from the dining room, and because it's 3-sided, you can also enjoy it from the turret lounge. So this is one fireplace that just keeps delivering over and over and over. One of the great advantages is this is a direct vent fireplace, which means that you can install it in the insulated envelope of an existing house. So it doesn't have to run ventilation up through the house, it just runs out the exterior wall. Something to think about if you're renovating. First step is choose a fabulous fireplace. Second step is think about how you want to dress it. And there are so many options. Here's a fun solution that I came up with for this fireplace. Instead of using slabs of stone and having them templated for our cladding on our fireplace, I used tile. I got 12 by 24 pieces of a really interesting marble.
We're gonna make our own fireplace. Look at that.
And then I had our tile installer cut little sort of rift cuts, little stripes in the tile. So they actually look like individual tiles that have been stacked together. You could do this with tile if you like. I chose these larger format pieces so we get the look of them being individual, but we have this incredible veined movement. And what I like about it is, in the end, it looks like slabs of stone, but it's actually just tile that I bought at a big box store for under $6 a square foot. That's a good end result, don't you think? If you're gonna do this, if you're gonna work with tile, I would always recommend get some extra pieces. Make sure you spend the time laying them out on the floor to understand exactly how that movement is all gonna come together. And when you're thinking about using natural stone, the other thing you always want to be mindful of is how all of your materials go together. So just make sure that perhaps it's better to err on the side of materials that are a little quieter, and that way they can complement one another instead of having everything scream, "Look at me, look at me." So the marble that I used on the fireplace has a subdued palette. It ties to the tops on our coffee tables and complements the bar backsplash perfectly. At some point along the way, I dubbed this open concept living area the super space. And what makes it super is that we have combined living, lounge, dining, and a bar all in one. Isn't that super? Doesn't that feel like a vacation destination getaway? In thinking about the dining room, this is a house that can sleep up to 16 people, which means you need to design a dining area that can accommodate all of those people. And when I was thinking about the dining room, I kind of dialed into the feeling of being in a restaurant. I told you already that I love a good banquette. The dining room banquette is over 14 feet long. And the reason I am a fan of a dining room banquette is it saves space. It is an awesome flow and space saver because you don't need circulation in behind a row of chairs. What this banquette does is it affords mountain views to everybody who's sitting on the banquette side. And I think it delivers a bit of a vibe of being in a restaurant. And who doesn't like eating in a restaurant? I love eating in a restaurant. So this banquette is simply custom made in much the same way that we made our turret banquette. And then I've topped it with leather covered banquette cushions. If you want to think about practicality and how to have dining chairs that are both comfortable and practical, think about shopping vintage.
These are vintage. I got a set of 6 for $400.
I went online and I found 3 different sets of mid-century dining chairs, and I had them all resprayed and reupholstered, and I covered them in vinyl, which means they are wipeable, they are practical, they were affordable, they were about $50 a chair online, and then the finishing little detail, I spray lacquered them, and the reason I sprayed them is the 3 sets of chairs I found were in 3 different woods. So I didn't want the chairs to look like a jumble. By spraying the frames, I was able to unify them. So I don't even think most people would realize that these chairs are not all the same. They are 3 different styles. Little tiny finishing detail, instead of the original wood plugs, I replaced them with these brushed brass plugs that I found at Lee Valley. And Lee Valley is such a fun place to look for hardware, for woodworking tools, gift ideas, so many different things. Check out leevalley.com, always something interesting to find. Sometimes you've got a dining room, sometimes you have only a dining area. And if you're dealing with a dining area within an overall open space, you have less elements to work with. You don't have walls enclosing the space, you don't have a lot of supporting pieces of furniture. Our dining area is defined by a pair of tables, a banquette, and the chairs that surround them. That means the tables needed to take center stage. They needed to be fabulous and functional and beautiful. So I went to Woodstreams, which is located in Pemberton, BC, and had these 2 tables custom made. I decided that instead of just doing one long table, what makes sense when you're dealing with a banquette is having a pair of tables and allowing a little space in the middle so that people can sneak in and out in case they need to get up during the meal. This makes practical sense. You can always push the 2 tables together, but also you can allow them to be separated. These tables are made using live edge white oak, giant, thick slabs. They're so beautiful. The team did the most incredible job, and the finishing detail is a racing stripe of accent wood that runs down the middle of the table. And this is just a fun little signature move that I designed, and it's actually a little personal representation of our family, because in our family we are 2 brunettes, a blonde, and a redhead. And so I used cherry for Alex, walnut for me and Fiona, and ashwood for Robin, my blonde. And I thought it was a fun nod to our family, a little creative touch. If you are ever custom commissioning something to be made for you, think about how you can add that personal touch. What can you do to make sure that it looks and feels like you and represents your family? Final finishing touch in this space is the wall paneling. And I was so excited when I found that Brenlo created some really interesting paneling. I've used it in a number of different ways throughout the home. And in this case, it looks like slats of wood. And what I like about this material is it comes in lengths. So you can order it up to 16 feet long. It's poplar. And we just installed it on the wall to create this incredible striped effect. We also use paneling from Brenlo in the bunk room. And you've seen what the bunk beds look like. Totally different than what this wall paneling looks like. You can use it vertically, you can use it horizontally. Really, this is about allowing your imagination to run wild, and that is what is always the fun and the adventure of design. It's about how you take those materials, how you combine those materials, and how you create the ultimate finished space, or in this case, the super space. What do you think? You like it? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure you hit that bell to subscribe so you'll get notifications and you'll never miss our next episode.